On a distant planet far from Earth, a young alien girl named Lyra lived with her family, the Vayans. From the moment she was born, Lyra was different. Her eyes shone with a strange silver light, and she could sense feelings and thoughts around her. While other children played and learned the same lessons, Lyra struggled to hide her abilities. She did not understand them fully, but she knew that they made her special. Her family, however, did not see her as special. Her father, a proud and strict man, often scolded her for her powers. Her older siblings whispered behind her back, calling her weak, strange, and even dangerous. They were afraid of what she could do and jealous of her abilities. Lyra tried to be quiet, tried to be small, tried to be invisible, but nothing worked. One evening, as the twin moons of their planet rose, Lyra overheard a terrible conversation. Her father was speaking with strangers from a distant world, humans he had met through secret trade networks. They spoke in low voices, but Lyra's sharp senses picked up the words. "We can trade her," her father said. "She is young, powerful, and can be of great use to the right people." Lyra froze. She did not understand at first. Trade, what did that mean for her? Then the horrifying truth hit her. Her father planned to barter her into slavery. Fear and disbelief filled Lyra's heart. She ran to her room, tears burning her cheeks. Her mother, usually gentle, said nothing. She did not stop it. Her siblings watched with cold eyes. Lyra felt alone. For the first time, she understood that family could hurt just as much as enemies. The next morning, Lyra was told to prepare for the journey. The humans would arrive on their starship to take her away. She packed a small bag, her hands trembling. Every step toward the landing platform felt heavier than the last. Lyra looked back at her home one last time, hoping for a sign of love, a word of comfort, but there was nothing, only the cold faces of her family. When the starship landed, it was bigger and brighter than anything Lyra had seen. The humans waited, their faces hidden behind helmets. Lyra felt fear mixed with curiosity. Would they be cruel like her family, or could they be different? She did not know. She only knew she had no choice. As she was led onto the ship, Lyra glanced at the sky one more time, with twin moons hung above, silent witnesses to her betrayal. Her heart ached, and anger burned within her. How could her own family sell her like an object? She had always thought that love was safe at home. Now she knew better. The journey through space was long and cold. Lyra sat alone, staring out at the stars. The humans said little, but she noticed they watched her carefully, almost as if they were trying to understand her. Lyra was afraid they would treat her harshly, but a small part of her wondered, could they be the ones who finally saw her for who she was? Hours passed, and Lyra began to feel something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. Maybe this strange new world held more than fear. Maybe it held a chance to start over. But just as her heart began to lift, a warning siren blared on the ship. The humans spoke urgently. "Incoming attack," one shouted. Lyra's fear returned tenfold. She was far from home, alone in space, and now danger was coming for her. She gripped the edge of her seat, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. For the first time, she felt that her powers might be useful, but could she control them? Could she survive the dangers ahead? As the ship shook, Lyra whispered to herself, "I will not be weak, I will not be broken, I will survive." And with that, the story of Lyra's journey to Earth and the humans who might change her life forever began. The starship shuddered. As it entered the strange blue and green planet called Earth, Lyra pressed her hands against the cold metal wall, staring out at the vast oceans and swirling clouds below. The world was beautiful, yet it felt alien. Nothing was familiar. The air smelled different, the light felt softer, and the people, tiny from above, moved like ants. The humans guiding her aboard the ship were quiet but careful. They wore strange suits and masks, but their movements were calm. One of them, a tall figure with kind eyes, approached her slowly. "Do not be afraid," he said softly. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. Could she trust him? Could anyone here be kind? She had been betrayed once. She could not afford to be naive again. The ship landed near a dense forest. Lyra had never seen so many trees, so much life. Birds sang, water flowed, and the wind carried a scent she had never known. It was both frightening and mesmerizing. She felt a strange connection to this planet, even though it was foreign. A small voice inside her whispered, "Maybe this is where I belong." But danger waited. As soon as she stepped off the ship, Lyra realized she was not alone. Strange machines with blinking lights rolled toward her. The humans acted fast, blocking her path. "Stay behind me," said the tall man. Lyra's pulse raced. Was this an attack? Why would anyone want to hurt her? She had no weapons, no experience, only her powers, which she barely understood. The machines stopped. The humans explained that they were Earth's security units, curious and cautious about the new life form on their planet. Relief washed over Lyra, but only for a moment. She knew that she could not rely entirely on them. She had to learn, adapt, and survive on her own. As the days passed, Lyra explored her new home with the humans guiding her. Everything was different: plants, animals, even the way people spoke. She learned to mimic their words, laugh at their jokes, and hide her powers when necessary. But hiding was not easy. Sometimes her eyes glowed without control, and her strength nearly revealed itself in moments of excitement or fear. One evening, while walking near a quiet river, Lyra saw her reflection in the water. The face looking back was both her own and someone new. She felt fear, yes, but also curiosity. Who am I, really? She asked herself. She had been sold, betrayed, and sent across the stars. Now, on Earth, she had a chance to become someone different, someone strong, someone free. But freedom was not without challenges. Not all humans were friendly, and rumors of strange beings from other worlds spread quickly. Some humans feared her, some wanted to capture her, and others merely watched from afar. Lyra realized that she could not simply survive by hiding. She had to learn the ways of Earth, adapt quickly, and trust carefully. And then, one night, something unexpected happened. The tall human who had first spoken to her, the one who had been kind and come brought her to a small village hidden in the forest. "Here, you can rest. Here, you can be safe," he said. Lyra felt a spark of hope she had not felt since leaving her planet. Could this human be her ally? Maybe even a friend? She did not know. But for the first time, she felt a small warmth in her heart. Just as she began to relax, a distant noise startled her. Twigs snapped under heavy feet. Someone or something was coming. Lyra's silver eyes widened. Could it be her family, tracking her across the stars? Or was it another danger, unknown and deadly? She clutched the human's hand instinctively, realizing that she might finally need someone she could trust. The shadows of the forest seemed alive that night, whispering secrets and threats. Lyra knew one thing for certain: Earth was beautiful, mysterious, and dangerous. And her story was only beginning. Lyra stayed in the hidden village for several days, learning the ways of Earth. The humans provided food, shelter, and safety, but she still felt like an outsider. She watched them carefully, unsure whom she could truly trust. After all, she had been betrayed by her own family, sold like an object. Could she really rely on anyone here? The tall human, whose name was Ethan, treated her with patience and care. He did not rush her, did not ask questions too quickly. Instead, he taught her simple words, shared stories of Earth, and showed her how to live quietly among humans. Slowly, Lyra began to feel a strange connection. For the first time in her life, someone treated her not as a tool or a threat, but as a person. Still, trust was not easy. Every time Lyra laughed or spoke, she remembered her family's cruelty. Every kind gesture from Ethan made her cautious. Could this human truly care, or was it a trap? She decided to test him. One night, she sneaked into the village garden, hiding behind a tree, watching Ethan from afar. When she stumbled and nearly fell, he appeared at her side immediately, steadying her hand. "I've got you," he said gently. That simple act made something inside her shift. Maybe she could trust him after all, but danger was never far away. Lyra's senses detected movement in the forest beyond the village. Shadows slithered between trees, too silent for ordinary humans. She whispered to Ethan, "Someone is there." He nodded, eyes sharp, and they both prepared for whatever might come. Hours passed with only silence and distant rustling, but Lyra could not shake the feeling of being watched. The forest seemed alive, and she could feel it noticing her presence. Over the next few days, Lyra began to practice her abilities in secret. She could sense emotions, move small objects, and even influence the wind slightly. Ethan noticed her practicing, but he never scolded her. Instead, he encouraged her subtly, giving her small challenges to test herself. Lyra felt pride and fear together. She was learning, but she also knew that revealing too much could put them both in danger. One afternoon, as Lyra wandered near a stream, a sudden cry broke the calm. A human child had fallen into the water, struggling against the current. With that thinking, Lyra ran, her powers surging naturally. She lifted the child from the water, gliding over the stream with strength and speed she had never known she possessed. The villagers gasped in awe. For the first time, Lyra realized her powers were not just strange, they could save lives. Ethan approached her after the incident, a proud smile on his face. "You saved him," he said simply. Lyra looked down, shy and unsure. I just helped," she murmured. But Ethan shook his head. "No, you are special, Lyra, and that is why you are here. Not as a slave, not as a tool, but as someone who can make a difference." His words filled her heart with warmth, and for the first time, she felt hope without fear. However, that hope was fragile. Lyra's senses had not lied. She could feel the pull of her past. Her family, the ones who had sold her, were out there somewhere. Perhaps they were already searching for her. Perhaps danger would arrive sooner than she expected. She realized that trusting humans meant trusting her survival, and that trust could be tested at any moment. That night, as she sat by the fire with Ethan, Lyra whispered, "I don't know if I can ever fully trust anyone." Ethan placed a hand over hers. "Trust is hard," he said, "but you are not alone anymore. We will face this together." Lyra looked into his eyes and, for the first time, felt a flicker of something new. Friendship, maybe even the beginnings of love. But even as warmth filled her heart, a shadow moved silently beyond the village edge. Lyra's silver eyes glowed faintly. The past was not done with her. The dangers of family betrayal were coming closer, and soon she would have to fight not just for trust, but for her life. The night was dark, and the forest around the village whispered with unseen movements. Lyra could feel it, the presence of someone watching, someone dangerous. Her silver eyes flickered with light, reflecting her fear and alertness. She had hoped Earth would be safe, but the past had a way of catching up. It began quietly. A strange hum, barely audible, filled the air. Then, the shadows moved faster. Lyra's instincts screamed danger. "Ethan," she whispered, shaking. "Him, awake. Something is coming." Ethan rose immediately, grabbing a small weapon from his side, though he did not want to harm her. The humans in the village stirred, sensing the threat. Lyra could see it now, figures emerging from the shadows, moving with precision and intent. Her heart sank. These were not ordinary humans. Her family. They had tracked her across the stars, fear mixed with anger inside her. They had sold her, betrayed her, and now they had found her again. Lyra could feel her powers growing, surging within her. The ground seemed to respond to her emotions. Small stones lifted into the air, leaves swirled in circles, and the wind whipped violently through the trees. She realized she could not hide anymore. She had to fight to survive. The first of her attackers stepped forward, a tall, cold-eyed alien she had once called a brother. "Lyra," he said, voice full of cruelty, "you belong to us. You cannot escape." Lyra's body tensed. She had always been afraid of her family, but now she understood something crucial. Fear could be turned into power. Ethan stepped beside her, standing firm. "She is not yours," he said firmly. "Not anymore." Lyra felt a spark of courage. But the first time, humans were standing with her as equals. She lifted her hands, and a burst of energy shot forward, knocking several attackers back. The forest shook with her power, and even the seasoned humans were surprised at her strength. The battle began in earnest. Lyra darted between trees, using her speed and senses to evade attacks. She realized her family had underestimated her. Years of hiding her powers had not made her weak, they had made her clever and unpredictable. Ethan fought beside her, helping her, guiding her, and protecting her from harm. For the first time, Lyra felt that trust was not a weakness, it was strength, but the enemy was relentless. One of her brothers lunged, grabbing at her. Lyra's heart pounded, and in a sudden surge of fear and determination, she released a wave of energy that threw him into the trees. She gasped at her own strength. She could control it, but only if she stayed calm. Panic would destroy her. She had to focus, amid the chaos. Lyra realized they could not win by fighting alone. They had to escape. She grabbed Ethan's hand. "We have to run," she shouted. Together they dashed through the forest, weaving between trees, leaping over rocks, and using her powers to create obstacles for their pursuers. Lyra felt the adrenaline in her veins. This was survival. This was freedom. Finally, they reached a hidden clearing with a small ship hidden beneath trees. Ethan opened the door quickly, and Lyra helped the humans climb aboard. As the ship lifted into the sky, the forest below erupted in a blur of energy and shadows. Her family had followed, but she had gained something they could not take away: courage, strength, and allies she could trust. As the ship soared above the trees, Lyra collapsed, breathing hard, her silver eyes dimming as relief washed over her. Ethan knelt beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You did it," he said softly. "You survived." Lyra looked at him, feeling a bond stronger than fear. For the first time, she realized that love, trust, and friendship could exist even in a world full of betrayal and danger. But as she stared out at the horizon, a thought lingered. Her family would not give up. They would return, stronger and more determined. And next time, Lyra would need every ounce of her courage, every spark of her power, to protect herself and the humans she had come to care for deeply. Her journey was far from over, but for the first time, Lyra knew she could face it. She was no longer a victim. She was a fighter, a survivor, and perhaps, one day, a hero. The ship flew silently over Earth's forests, carrying Lyra and Ethan away from the immediate danger. For the first time in weeks, Lyra allowed herself to breathe. The wind brushing against the ship reminded her of Earth's vastness, its beauty, and its promise of freedom. She had survived betrayal, slavery, and attacks from her own family. Now, the hardest part remained: learning to live fully and to trust the humans who had risked everything for her. Ethan sat beside her, watching her quietly. He did not need words. Lyra could feel his calm strength and steady presence. Slowly, she reached out and held his hand. The warmth of it was new to her, comforting in a way she had never known. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Ethan smiled, his eyes reflecting the light of the stars. "No," he said softly, "thank you. You taught me courage." 2 days passed as they traveled to a hidden sanctuary, where humans and friendly aliens worked together to protect those who could not protect themselves. Here, Lyra felt safe. She began to train, learning to control her powers with precision and confidence. Her silver eyes glowed softly as she practiced, no longer afraid of what made her different. She realized that her abilities were gifts that could help others, not weapons of fear, but peace was fragile. Lyra still sensed her family searching. One evening, while she practiced near the edge of the sanctuary, a familiar voice called from the shadows. Her sister stepped forward, face twisted with anger and envy. "You think you are free?" she spat. Lyra stood tall, calm, and ready. "I am free," she said firmly, "and nothing you do can take that away." A tense standoff followed, but Lyra did not attack immediately. She had learned that true strength was control, and control meant using power wisely. Her sister hesitated, unsure of Lyra's newfound confidence. In that moment, Lyra understood that she no longer needed to fight to survive. She fought to protect the life she had chosen and the humans who had become her family. Her sister finally stepped back, defeated not by strength alone, but by the courage and determination in Lyra's eyes. Lyra had claimed her freedom, and she had done it on her own terms. She turned away, walking back toward the sanctuary with Ethan by her side. Together, they returned to a place where they could live without fear, where trust and love could grow. Time passed, and Lyra began to build a life on Earth. She explored the planet's forests, rivers, and cities, always learning, always adapting. Humans no longer seemed alien to her. They were companions, friends, and eventually, something deeper. With Ethan, she laughed, shared stories, and even felt a quiet joy she had never known as a child on her home planet. For the first time, love felt safe, real, and worth trusting. One evening, under the glow of Earth's twin moons, like the one she had left behind, Lyra and Ethan sat together, watching the stars. She thought of her family, of the pain they had caused, and realized she did not feel anger anymore. She felt peace. She had survived betrayal, danger, and uncertainty. She had found friendship, trust, and love. And she had learned that being different was not a weakness, it was her greatest strength. Lyra's journey from a betrayed alien girl to a confident, loving, and powerful being was complete, but her story was just beginning. With Ethan and her new human family beside her, She looked forward to a life filled with adventure, hope, and the freedom to be herself. For Lyra, Earth was no longer just a strange new world, it was home, a place where she had found love, friendship, and freedom.